Warm welcome, dear students. So, in continuation with last session on the terminology associated with IC engines testing, today we are going to see what are the different testing methods to measure the performance of internal combustion engines. So, first of all, let us see how to measure the brake power of an internal combustion engine. All of you know the what brake power is, right? So, measurement of brake power involves the determination of the torque on the shaft and the angular speed of the engine output shaft. Torque as well as the angular speed or angular velocity of the output shaft. These two are determined in order to calculate the brake power. If you can recall the equation for brake power, you can easily understand why this torque and angular speed are measured. The torque measuring device is called a dynamometer. So usually a dynamometer is employed to measure the torque on the engine output shaft. They are classified broadly into two: power absorption dynamometer and transmission dynamometer. So any of these dynamometers will be equipped along with the experimental setup to measure the torque, and speed will be monitored. Thereby, we can calculate the brake power using the expression. Now, another important term to measure in comparing the performance of an internal combustion engine is frictional horsepower. So there are several methods to measure the FHP of an engine: Whelan's line method, Mohs test, motoring test, and finally the difference between in indicated power and brake power. We will see one by one. Whelan's line method or fuel rate extrapolation. Fuel rate extrapolation method. So in this method, we will be plotting a graph by taking y-axis at the center and x-axis. Y-axis will be the, you can see here, the fuel flow rate or gross fuel consumption, and the x-axis will be the engine torque. Okay, at a constant speed. At a constant speed. Here you can have engine torque or brake power. Any of these could be plotted on x-axis. So you can see here. So it is the fuel flow rate, and on the x-axis you can have torque or BP, because BP is proportional to engine torque. BP is proportional to torque, right? For a constant RPM, it will be proportional to torque. So you can take either a BP or torque on the x-axis. Now the graph is extrapolated. The variation between the fuel consumption versus BP or torque, that graph, that curve will be extrapolated back to zero fuel consumption, where the fuel consumption is zero, where the graph is meeting the x-axis. So the test is applicable only to compression ignition engines. So this is done usually to compression ignition engines or CI engines. You can see here this graph, when extrapolated appropriately, is meeting the x-axis at this particular point. Now you can see this is the frictional torque. So that is an easiest method if you have taken the different um, torque and evaluated the brake power. But the accuracy is again questionable because we are extrapolating manually. So the value may be varying. Now another method, the second method to determine the frictional horsepower, is called Mohs test. It is a method applicable to multi-cylinder engines in which each cylinder individually, without the use of an indicator, the indicated power of each cylinder will be determined. Thus, adding the individual indicated power to get the total indicated power of the engine. So this method is adopted to calculate the indicated power of high speed engines. where the indicated diagram is impossible to execute. So first of all, the brake power of the engine when all the cylinders are in operation. Suppose there is a four-cylinder engine. Okay, there are four cylinders in an engine. So first we will determine the brake power in usual manner by measuring the torque and measuring the speed. We'll determine the brake power of the engine when all the four cylinders are in operation for a four-cylinder engine. Okay, at a constant load and speed. Now, one of the cylinders is cut off. No fuel will be supplied to the one of the cylinders in the engine. If it is a multi-cylinder, I mean four-cylinder engines, only three cylinders will be in operation now. First cylinder will be cut off. That means does not develop any power. So this is done by short circuiting the spark plug of the cylinder in the case of SI engines, or cutting off individual fuel supply in diesel engines. Depending on CI or SI engines, will be doing accordingly. Now the speed of the engine decreases. You know that, right? One cylinder is not at all delivering any power. Therefore, the speed of the engine decreases. And in order to bring back the speed to the rated speed, original speed, the load on the engine is reduced, because since only three cylinders out of the four cylinders in the case of a four-cylinder engine are operating, the speed will be reduced. In order to bring back the speed to the original speed, what we should do? We should reduce the load on the engine. Load on the engine shaft will be reduced. Now the brake power is measured. So how much brake power is developed at the, again, the original speed when three cylinders are firing. Similarly, one by one, the cylinders are cut off and the brake power is determined. The same procedure is repeated for by cutting off the other cylinders also. Now we can go for the calculations. The total brake power of the engine is, you know that it is the difference between indicated power and frictional power. That means if it is a four-cylinder engine, IP1 plus IP2 plus IP3 plus IP4 minus the corresponding frictional powers. So that will be the total brake power of the four-cylinder engine, right? That is equation number 1. Okay, equation number 1. Now when the first cylinder is cut off, the brake power of the remaining three cylinders is, so first cylinder is not developing any power, but at the same time frictional power will be there, because still there will be friction losses at the shaft. So IP2 plus IP3 plus IP4 minus FP1 plus FP2 plus FP3 plus FP4, that is equation number 2. Now when you subtract 1 minus 2, you will get IP1. You will get the indicated power developed in the first engine. Similarly, you can get the indicated power developed in all the other cylinders, not the first engine, that is the first cylinder, sorry. If I said it is engine, sorry, it is the IP1 is the indicated power of the first cylinder. Okay, similarly, IP2, IP3, IP4 are the indicated powers of the second, third, and fourth cylinders. Total indicated power is the sum of IP1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that is the Mohs test. So you need to cut off each cylinders one by one and measure the brake power, then write down the equation and finding out the difference from the first equation. You will get the indicated powers of the cylinders separately, and adding them up you will get the total indicated power. Now the motoring test, the third method to find out the frictional horsepower. In this, the engine is first run up to the desired speed, rated speed, by its own power and allowed to remain at the given speed and load conditions for some time. Okay, for some time it will be allowed to run at the given speed and load conditions. The power of the engine during this period is absorbed by a swinging field type electric dynamometer. There's a kind of dynamometer, swinging field type electric dynamometer. The power of the engine is absorbed by that particular type of dynamometer. The fuel supply is then cut off and by suitable electric switching devices, the dynamometer is converted to run as a motor. So that's why we are using that swinging field type dynamometer in order to making them work as a motor to drive for motor the engine at the same speed at which it was previously running. So fuel supply will be cut off when the engine power is absorbed by the dynamometer. Then by suitable electric switching devices, the dynamometer is converted to run as a motor to drive for motor the engine at the same speed at which it was previously running, the initial rated or original speed of the engine. Now the power supply to the motor is measured, and that is a measure of the frictional horsepower. Now fuel supply is cut off, then the engine is allowed to run with the help of the converted swing type dynamometer as a motor. Now the power for running that motor is measured, that obviously will be the frictional horsepower of the engine. So during the motoring test, the water supply is also cut off so that the actual operating temperatures are maintained. Now the fourth method to determine the frictional horsepower is by calculating the difference between IP and BP. So this method of finding the frictional power by computing the difference between indicated power as obtained from an indicator diagram. So you need to have an indicated diagram. So indicated power is obtained from indicator diagram and BP as obtained by dynamometer and using the speed usual calculation. So indicator diagram is required to find out the IP. Then by determining the BP, you can have the difference between these two will be the frictional power. So there are many difficulties. You have to attach an indicator diagram so that you can measure the indicated power. So much difficulties are involved in this method. So in obtaining accurate indicator diagram, especially at high speed engines, so this method is usually only used in research laboratories, not commercially viable. So these are the different methods to determine the frictional horsepower. In the coming session, we will discuss about the heat balance sheet. With that, we will close the topic on internal combustion engines. If you have any doubts, please feel free to ask me in the comment section below. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.